If you'd like to be featured on Newark TV, why not drop us a line on info@newark-tv.co.uk. Oh, and don't forget, hit the subscribe button.
My name's Pat Murray and I'm an artist stroke illustrator.
Are you?
Yeah, because I used to do illustration for 30, 40 years before I started to paint. That's what my day job was.
Let's get back to that, yeah? Because, I mean, what I always find interesting, Pat, to be honest, is where everyone started. So, how did it all begin for you?
Well, I've always drawn all my life, and I think I always knew I'd go to art college and be an artist, and so I did go to art college.
Whereabouts did you go?
I went to Loughborough to do a foundation year, and then I spent 3 years at Leicester studying illustration. I mean, that course is no longer operational, but it was a good course.
So you say you've been drawing, since you were little. Why did you draw? What was the appeal?
I think just because I could.
So it came natural?
Yeah, completely, and also I could draw quite odd things, like say a candle twist, a banister like that. When I was 5, I'd really look at things like that. I could draw them, and so drawing was my strongest suit. In fact, I mean, I've only really started to paint in the last 8 years or so.
Oh, right.
So I was drawing, much more drawing.
Is there anyone else in the family, mum and dad, or are they artists?
My granny was a blouse designer and she earned a lot of money at that. But I mean, my father was he was a research scientist, but his actual scientific drawings were beautiful, they were exquisite. But I mean, he didn't value them artistically; they were just to show something very clearly.
Was that the old pen and ink?
No, mostly pencil, just pencil.
Oh, really?
Yes, I think I must have got it from him, really.
Did you used to sit and watch him then?
No. I used to go and look at the guinea pigs. He used to have lots and lots of guinea pigs. I used to work for Boots.
Oh, right.
In Nottingham.
Yeah. So what was your first job?
Oh, gosh. Well, I went to art college and I had lots and lots and lots of jobs. I think Woolworths.
Good old Woolies.
Well, any old job, you mean. I've done all sorts, little jobs for like 3 months at a time. But my first job that had anything to do with art was at a place called Tech Media in Loughborough, because we were living in Loughborough at that time. So I learnt a few skills there, working there. And that was more graphics, design work.
Oh, right. So what type of stuff were you doing?
When I was an illustrator, I used to illustrate textbooks, school textbooks, anything they asked for. It could be science experiments, or it could have been history, or religious studies, or English literature. Whatever I was asked to draw, I draw it. So now I just feel really free because I don't do that anymore. I just do what I want. It's great.
What was your second job? Drawing, illustration. Where are you now? And how old are you?
Oh, I'm ancient.
No, not now. When you were there. God bless you. You're not ancient.
Oh dear. Well, because I don't work anymore. I think I just had 2 jobs. One was in AVS, it's Audiovisual Services at the Loughborough University. I also worked there doing a graphics job. And in those days, we used to have to stick lines of type onto a page. This was before the way they do it now. You wouldn't believe it. We had to line the ruler up, and we had a scalpel and cow gum, and we had to sort of get all this type lined up and put in a missing word, the, and all that sort of thing. So it was very, very sort of fiddly-faddly. Yes.
Do you think it's an easier game today?
What I'm doing now?
Yeah.
Well, it's thoroughly enjoyable. Yes, it's.
Is it?
Yes, yeah. And I'm retired, so it's not. There's not the financial pressure as such. So I kind of do what I like, really.
So what's your average day? What happens in the morning?
Always go for a walk. Good walk, about an hour. Yeah. Not very domesticated, I have to say. See my grandchildren when I can.
Yeah.
Walk with friends. That's an average day. I probably paint once a week maybe. I don't make hard work of it. You know, I don't paint every day or feel as though I need to. I wait until I've got a strong idea of something I want to do, and then I do it.
Because when you talk to younger artists and everything else, it's like, where does that inspiration come from? Where does yours come from?
The landscape a lot. I mean, I'm really surprised myself. I used to be such a townie. You know, when I was young, I lived in London, and you know, I come from Nottingham. But now, I mean, we've lived here for 15 years in Newark, and it's been a revelation to me because the landscape around here is really beautiful, and I think that's inspired me. To be honest, yes.
So styles of drawing and painting and everything else. What have you gone through? Who inspired you?
So many people. Too numerous to mention. I mean, who originally inspired me when I was young and made me want to be an illustrator were the 19th century illustrators like Edmund Dulac and Arthur Rackham that did all those fanciful, you know, fairy sort of paintings. I love the sort of mysterious atmosphere of them. They sort of provoked my imagination. And in some sense, I've tried to bring it to paintings of landscape that I do now. I like that things to have a bit of an intrigue, you know, an intriguing atmosphere.
Well, what's interesting with some of your stuff that's hanging in this gallery with David Moore's here is your use of colour.
Yeah, it's a bit mad, isn't it?
Yeah, you say mad, but do you know what? It's so vibrant, and everything. I don't know. Everything just seems to match and hit, and you're like, wow, where does that come? Because when you look around the landscape here, and then you see your drawings, you can identify. Oh, yeah, well, that's the building. Oh, well, that's a bit of the castle and everything else. But then these beautiful splashes of colour and everything. Where does that come from?
I suppose I just think, why not?
Really? Let me try that.
Yes, I suppose they're like expressive paintings to create a mood. So I wouldn't slavishly stick with what you're actually seeing. Right. I think you're always trying to create a mood or an atmosphere in a painting, and you can do that with colour.
Yeah, you certainly do that. Now, at the side of you've got some of your paintings there. Yeah. Just pick one up and talk us through it.
Okay, I think we'll do this one because it's Kelham Hall.
Let me have a look here.
Most people locally know Kelham Hall.
Yeah.
I think council offices used to be there. I think it's gone back into private ownership now, hasn't it?
Yeah.
But, I really liked the statues, and there's a whole sort of a line of them leading up to the side of Kelham Hall. And I thought rather than do just the building on its own, I thought I would sort of lead into it, having this statue in the foreground. There again, I wanted to make it sort of fairly atmospheric looking. I always think statues actually quite creepy, aren't they? Spooky looking things.
They are, with the colours that they've got on them themselves. They're just that dark grey.
Yeah.
You know, when the sun hits them, then you get them contrasts of greys and blacks and everything else.
Yes.
But I mean, you're using colour.
Yes.
You know, I mean, what are the colours that you're actually using there?
Oh.
What would you call them? Do we have an ochre?
Well, I use acrylics and inks. I'm just trying to think.
You find that works well then?
Yes, I tend to start off doing ink washes over things, sort of getting the feeling. But obviously, I start off with a drawing. If it's as drawn as this is, you know, it's not particularly abstract, is it? So I draw it, and then I start putting washes on in ink. And then, last of all, I ended up sort of putting block sort of colours of acrylic. I mean, this is transfer. I dip lace into acrylic paint and then just slap it on top. I do that quite a lot to break up the surface.
But is that all that's for? You know, just to have a contrast in a texture?
Yes, well, yeah, exactly. That's exactly. I like, you know, textures. Any way I can find an interesting random texture, and I'm in there. You know,
I'm having that.
Sometimes I use a roller and I put paint part way up the roller.
Yeah.
And then just go up a painting, and then you get sort of stepped.
Oh, right.
Bits of colour. I just like to mess the thing up.
So the drawing comes first, always?
Yeah, if it's something like this, I mean, especially if it's a building, I am quite rigorous about how I draw it.
Right.
Because I feel if it's not right, it's completely wrong. The freedom is just in the use of colour.
Right.
If it's sort of architectural drawing. So.
Okay. Put that one down.
Yeah.
Take the seat again. I don't want you standing up. There we go. Now let me just move you back down there. There you go. Okay. That's cool. There you're nice and relaxed. How are you feeling?
Very nice, thank you.
When did this use of colour come into being? Because obviously in the old days you'd have just been drawing. When did you feel the need for colour?
Well, I was really bad with colour. When I was an illustrator, it was usually black and white work, line work, and then if I did colour it in, I used to use those spirit-based pens, magic markers, they're called.
I remember.
And I thought my work was really quite vulgar, and the sense of colour was unsophisticated. So I knew I got a long way to go with it. I was starting out with it, if you like.
Yeah.
So that's why it's been so enjoyable.
That's an interesting word you used there. Vulgar.
Yeah.
Why was it vulgar?
I just don't have a very good colour sense. I mean, some people would say I haven't now because
Really?
it's quite bright. But I've learned a lot just by doing a lot.
Who did you learn from? Anybody?
Well, my husband's a good painter. He studied fine art painting, and also what I have learned such a lot from is he also he deals in art. He's always dealt in art. Doesn't do so much now because we're both sort of retired more now.
Yeah.
But so much art's come through the house that he's bought, and you just scrutinise it. You look at it because we love art and all these different people's work, and you're just looking at it. And I think that's taught me more than anything else, really. Just looking at other people's work a lot.
Yeah. Without a doubt. Now let me ask you a question. It's a personal question. Did you actively go out to find another artist as a husband?
Oh, we met ever so young. No, I don't think that. We were only 18 and 19.
Oh, right. Were you both at uni or what?
Well, the funny thing was we were actually at the same school. And I knew of him because I used to see this Andrew Murray's paintings outside the headmaster's study, and I used to think, well, why aren't I there?
Oh.
Bit healthy competition.
Do you still have that competition with each other or not?
A bit, I think we do, really. We can, yes, I think there's a little bit, yes.
Is he still painting?
Sometimes I wish he'd do more because he's very good, actually. I think there's one of his here somewhere. It's one of, I think it's the Humber Estuary. It's a sort of big sort of yellow.
Oh, right.
It's a confluence of where the Humber meets the Trent, I think.
Oh, right.
With some
He
ships.
prefers the larger scale stuff then, does he?
Yes. He's always been a landscape painter.
Right.
Yes.
The love of the landscape.
Yeah.
What is it about the landscape that people enjoy painting?
Well, round here, it's just beautiful, isn't it? I mean, we come from Nottingham, and although I love the city, I'm very keen on my own city, I love Nottingham, but the actual landscape round here is, it's beautiful. We enjoy it, you can go out to Lincoln, the back ways, through all the villages, it's lovely. I love it if you go over to North Nottingham, it's a different feel, all the forestation and the dark red earth, and it's lovely and all out towards Southall.
It's interesting.
I got bored of it.
Yeah, well, it's interesting you actually see things in colour. I mean, being an artist and illustrator, I suppose that would be the normal thing for you to do. But I mean, you ended up here in Newark. How did that happen?
I'm trying to think, how did it happen? Oh, I know how it happened, really. At one point we bought a little rental house, and it was here in Newark. And my husband said, if I've got to go and work on a rental house, I'd rather go somewhere nice to be slaving away, doing it up. So we bought one here, and then we just ended up here. We went to move to Gebling, and it fell through, and I said, well, it's just really pretty. Newark's really pretty, why don't we look here? And so we did, and that's what brought us here.
Now, you're featured in David Moore's Newark Art Gallery, aren't you?
I'm very lucky, yes.
How did that come about?
I think I just walked in and chatted to David, and he was just really, really friendly. And I bought a couple of paintings in. I think one was of flowers, and he liked it. And it just all started from there. And yes, I've done very well here. And I've got a lot to thank David for because of that, yes.
Yeah. How long have you been in the gallery?
I think it's about a year and a half, probably 2 years now. Lost count a bit with this pandemic and that all.
Yeah,
Notion of time.
Yeah, the pandemic, yeah. Now, what's interesting is when I walk into David's, you know, and you're greeted with all this imagery and everything else. But I'm not saying it because you're here, all right, or we're doing the interview. The fact of the matter is, when I turn my head to the right, I am greeted by this plethora of colour, a canvas. It's just, and you just go, oh my goodness, and that's exactly what I did the first time I walked in and I saw it. I was like, who's doing this work? Because it was just so different. And it was like, wow, this is really refreshing. So there's something for you to take away today.
Oh, thank you.
Well, look, I mean, thank you very much for allowing us to interview you and to look at your art. Now, what I'm going to do is there any last words you'd like to say? If somebody wanted to take up painting and everything else, what advice would you give them?
I think be true to yourself and do the work that you've got sort of passion in. Said she who was a paid illustrator for 30 or 40 years. But if you're going to paint, you need to please yourself. Yeah, and be confident in your own sort of vision, what you're trying to get across.
Would you recommend that they go and take some lessons, or try it naturally?
Both, definitely both. And I think what art college does for people is trains them how to actually look and see. It's sort of it's a good training for that. But certainly, and I've got so many friends who've never been near an art college who are fantastically talented.
Strange, isn't it, sometimes?
They can just do it. I'm in Newark Art Club, and yeah, I've got friends. They're brilliant. Yeah.
Crazy, but that's what we need to do then. Perhaps get down
Join
to Newark
Art Club. We want everybody. It's a friendly crew.
There we go. How often do they meet then?
Every Wednesday. It's at the Newark Academy.
Oh right.
About 6:45, 7 o'clock. We have to be there.
Yeah.
And they've got it's a very good club because they have artists that come and demonstrate, and they also set us all projects to do, and that's good because it sort of provokes you to think about things you might not have thought about. Say, we've got to do a cloudburst. My friend Lynn has set a project being a cloudburst, and so everyone come in all these lovely paintings of big skies and storm clouds or sunsets, and it'll be really exciting. I never want to miss the nights when everybody bring their work in. It's fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting, isn't it? Like you say, you get the beginners mixing with the intermediates, mixing with the experienced people, and then you've got the consultants at the front. Nobody's really critical, are they?
No.
I tend to find it's more of a motherhood, broody type, come on, we can all do this, we can all get on, and maybe if you try this, and maybe if you try, rather than say, no.
Yeah, no, it's a very, very, very friendly club in Newark. No two ways about it.
Well, maybe that's what we do then.
Yeah.
Pat, thank you very much indeed.
Oh, thank you.
Have a good day.
Thank you.